Chapter 1. Whispers Through the Wall. The first sound was a whisper, not a breath, not a sigh, but something deliberate pressed against the cold concrete of the Berlin Wall. It was 1983, though the year hardly mattered in the endless gray of East Berlin. The voice was low, urgent, barely more than a vibration against the stone. "Can you hear me?" The words didn't carry through the air. They traveled through the wall itself, carried on the tremors of a world held together by silence. This was how it started. Not with a bang, not with a declaration, but with a question that would unravel decades of secrets. The man who heard it was a ghost, or at least that's what the Stasi files would later call him, and became known. He had no name, no face, just a voice that flickered in and out of the static of East Berlin's surveillance networks. He was a listener, one of the few who knew how to press an ear to the wall and hear the truth beneath the propaganda. The whisper came again, this time clearer. "If you are there," tapped once, a pause, then from the other side of the wall, a single, deliberate knock, the sound of a fist against concrete, muffled but unmistakable. The listener exhaled. He had found what he was looking for. The Berlin Wall was more than a barrier. It was a machine built to silence, to isolate, to erase. But machines have weaknesses, and in the dead of night, when the watchshowers were quiet and the searchlights swept the ground in slow, predictable arcs, the wall became something else. It became a conduit. The listener knew this. He had spent years mapping the cracks in the system, the places where the concrete had settled just enough to let sound slip through. He had learned to distinguish between the power lines, the distant chatter of radio transmissions, and the rare, precious moments when a human voice broke through. Tonight it was a woman. Her voice was young, maybe early 20s, but there was a weight to it, a weariness that didn't belong in a girl that age. "I don't know if anyone's there," she said, her words barely audible over the wind that rattled the barbed wire above. "But if you are, I need help." The listener hesitated. Helping was dangerous. Helping was treason. But the wall had a way of making men forget their own rules. He tapped back. Once, the woman's breath hitched. "You're real?" "Yes. I have something important." The listener waited. The wind howled, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and rusted metal. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked, then fell silent. "They are watching us," the woman whispered. "All of us. The Stasi has files on everyone. But there's a way out. A tunnel. It's not finished, but it's close." The listener's pulse quickened. Tunnels were the stuff of legends in East Berlin. Most were myths, half-remembered stories passed between dissidents in hushed tones. But some were real. And if this one was real, where? He asked. A pause. Then, softer, under the bakery on Bernard Street. The one with the broken sign. The listener knew the place. A crumbling storefront, boarded up years ago. The perfect cover. When? Tonight. Midnight. The line went dead. The whisper was gone. The bakery was exactly as she had described it. The sign hung crooked, its letters faded by time and neglect. The listener approached slowly, his boots crunching on the gravel. The air smelled of old bread and damp mortar. He knocked twice. A pause. Then, from inside, a single knock in reply. The door creaked open just enough to let him slip inside. The woman was waiting in the shadows, her face half hidden by a scarf. She was younger than had expected, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and determination. "You came," she said. "You said you had something." She reached into her coat and pulled out a small, battered tape recorder, the kind used by journalists or spies, or both. "This is everything," she said. "The names, the dates, the routes. The Stasi doesn't know it exists." The listener took the recorder. It was warm to the touch, as if it had been pressed against her skin for hours. "Who are you?" he asked. She hesitated. Then, softly, "Someone who wants to be free." The tape played in the dark, static, a voice. Then, clear as day. "Operation Tunnel Rat. Confirmed. Extraction point. Bernard Street. Midnight. October 12th. The listener's blood ran cold. October 12th was tomorrow. The woman's voice trembled. "They are planning to shut it down. Before anyone can use it." The listener looked at her. "You're not just a messenger, are you?" She shook her head. "I'm part of it. We all are." The tape kept playing. More names, more dates. A map sketched in hurried strokes of the tunnel's route beneath the wall. "This changes everything," the listener murmured. The woman nodded. "It does. But we have to move fast." Outside, the first light of dawn began to creep through the cracks in the boarded-up windows. The wall was still standing, but for the first time in years. It felt like it was crumbling, to be continued.